just a theory, a film theory, and cut.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to Football Guys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
Week 15, waiver wire. We are here for you. It is the Audible, Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom. We'll have Dr. Gene Brammel's reports. But Bloom, we have some sad news this morning about the passing of a fantastic man and football coach.
Yeah, a true one-off. We say that a lot, Cease. A one-off, an original. There truly was only one Mike Leach. And there's so many things. You could go through all the way he handled press conferences and in media stuff. And Cease, you're the media guy much more than I am. And just what an invigorating presence as a human being compared to all the other stuff that just blends it. There's blah, coach speak. Mike Leach was the antidote to coach speak. And much like us, he would go off on flights of fancy to explain and understand things. Probably my favorite thing about Mike Leach was that he actually taught a class at two different universities called Insurgent Warfare and Football Strategy. It's real. That was a real class. And just what an interesting lateral thinker. But if you want to really understand, if you love football and you're here, so you love football, if you want to really understand Mike Leach's impact, Chris Brown, Smart Football, and boy, does he live up to that tag on Twitter. And he has written amazing things about football. He's wrote a tremendous thread that you need to check out. He said, it's no understatement whatsoever that Leach fundamentally changed football forever. And I'm not sure there was any more influential coach in the last 40 years. And he goes on to tell the story of how that happened. And he winds it up by saying, the most complex and unique character, maybe in football coaching history, knew better than anyone else the value in football and life of keeping it simple by focusing on just a few small, truly important things and then putting your all into them. And he was a pirate. He was an insurgent. And we need more. We need more people who aren't just going to go with the flow and are going to leave everything different than they found it and leave us with a smile on our faces. He said, when he was asked a few years back, what do you want it to say in your obituary? He said, that's your problem. I'm going to be dead. So.
Fantastic. Wonderful, beautiful. Love the Audible shirt too, Bloom. We got nice style going. All mine doesn't fit me anymore.
Yeah, in a good way.
I went through that, in a good way. So I was like, maybe we could give it away, but I don't know if anyone wants my sweaty shirts. So we'll figure it out. Either way, we want something from Dr. Gene Brammel. How about that for a transition, Bloom, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Okay, here we go. Dr. Gene Brammel's injury report. It is the Monday injury rounds that is available at footballguys.com. And quarterback-wise, we're watching Lamar Jackson, left PCL strain week to week, doubtful for week 15, target week 16 plus. So we'll have to hold him out till week 16 if he doesn't return to limited work on Wednesday. We're recording on Tuesday morning, full disclosure. So keep an eye on that. And of course, keep an eye on footballguys.com for Dr. Gene Brammel's report. And let's get to your report, upgrades, downgrades, and waiver wire report at footballguys.com. Bloom, I feel like we've talked about everyone because we have.
Yeah.
But Daniel Jones, Ryan Tannehill, Taylor Heineke.
Right.
And then Brock Purdy is the lowest, 10 to 20% in this first tier. Jones is 25 to 50%. And some may be wondering, why isn't Brock Purdy higher? I have an answer, Bloom. Get me 4 weeks of Brock Purdy, and I will show you how good he really is instead of one game where there's no film on him. So, not on the Brock Purdy bandwagon. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but I know what Kyle does to cover up the quarterback. So I'm not rushing out for Brock Purdy, and he's the lowest of this first tier.
Yeah, and this tier since Sunday became a lot more important when Kyler Murray went down, and that was just sickening. That was just sickening. Cease like top 20, 25 all time, like watching a game and just feeling depressed. I turned the game off really after that happened. I really did. I was like, I don't feel like watching this game now. I don't feel like it. So a lot of teams going to the playoffs, figuring out who am I going to pick up to replace Kyler Murray. And maybe these guys are out there, or maybe they aren't. Again, I'm always going by the Yahoo Public League 60% availability. So there are going to be some names you're going to say, come on, they're not out there. But again, our app runs off of this. So thanks for your patience, folks. Daniel Jones, he actually was solid last week, even though his team got blown out. He was solid 2 weeks ago against Washington. That's who he faces this week. And of course, we're looking ahead too, and you're going to see a game coming up against Minnesota. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And then Indianapolis. So Daniel Jones trying to keep this team's playoff hopes alive, trying to keep your fantasy playoff hopes alive. Next would be Ryan Tannehill. Traylon Burke should be back. Again, teams are forcing more to fall on Tannehill's shoulders. And when asked, he can be a viable fantasy quarterback. Tennessee this week gets the Chargers, which actually was a tough matchup for Miami. That's a whole other game. We don't recap the Sunday night game, Cease, but that was an interesting game to say the least. And then he's going to get San Francisco. Then he's going to get Houston and Dallas. And the other thing is, these are all going to be games that are warm weather games. So that's looking pretty good for Ryan Tannehill. You get to Taylor Heineke. He had his best game as a passer, honestly, one of the best of his career against against the Giants the first time they played 2 weeks ago. And Washington's coming out of a bye. They get all 2 weeks to game plan for this. They're pushing for the playoffs. Now, the reason Heineke's lower also is because they get San Francisco in week 16. You're not going to want to use him that week. And then Cleveland and Washington isn't going to rely that much on Heineke if they don't have to. And then you get to Purdy. And like you said, Cease, there's a catch up here. Maybe the league catches up a little bit. Also, he had a rushing touchdown last week. I don't know how often that's going to happen. You might say, hey, maybe being too negative, because what if that game had been closer? What if the game coming up on Thursday against Seattle's closer? Brock Purdy is capable of doing more. I did lose Deebo Samuel. You still have McCaffrey and Kittle and Ayuk. And looking ahead at his schedule, this is a team that could clinch the division on Thursday, but is going to be pushing for that number 2 seed. And they've got Washington and Vegas. So that's a good schedule for Brock Purdy. I wouldn't necessarily say you're wrong if you do have Purdy higher. But Cease, I tend to agree with you where any point Purdy could show us why he was not necessarily a highly regarded prospect. But it's a tribute to Kyle Shanahan and his system.
Very much so.
That Purdy can look so confident. It's not even just the efficiency, Cease. It's not the productivity or efficiency or fantasy relevance. It's that he looks comfortable. It's that he looks like a confident player who's going to go out and play football and understands everything. And for that to happen in his first year as a rookie, whenever the team isn't focused on, he was the 3rd string quarterback. It's pretty special.
Yeah, and he's got 2 injuries now, oblique and ribs. So we'll keep an eye on that. Might be Josh Johnson is a half a percenter or whatever. And the way it's been explained to me by 49ers coaches Bloom is that their offense is very simple math for the quarterback. Like
again, Mike Leach, right?
Yeah,
Mike Leach have a small group of simple things that you do so well that other teams can't handle it.
Yep. And basically, you're just trying to. It's like Waterboy's kicker. You're just trying to find the one person out of position. If this one person moves, you go here. If
you
this
put them
one
in
person
conflict.
stays, you go here. Like it's just very, very simple.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yeah,
when it's ran the way it can be run.
Yeah, and you put someone in conflict and you make a decision based on their decision and rinse, repeat.
There you go. Rinse, repeats there's Josh Johnson, 1%.
Yeah.
Desmond Ridder, he's in. And there you go. Anthony Brown, Baker Mayfield, Brett Rippon, Mitchell Trubisky. These are 1%ers, everybody. And these are the 1%ers. As far as Rippon goes, but I also know Russell Wilson's going to do everything he can to get back from that concussion and have his, what is it? The Michael's secret sauce. What do you have? The water one
Nano
time?
bubbles. Nano bubbles.
Yeah. I got my water. Like, okay. All right, Russ. Okay. Just make sure the long-term health of him, like you want a bad season to get bad to worse, have Russell Wilson have a major injury.
Right.
Like, not that a concussion isn't a major injury, but like have another concussion, right? Like, now you're screwed. Like, no. Just take it easy, Russ. You're not going anywhere. You got 10 losses. Like, let's ride to the bench and let Brett Rippon play.
Yeah. So Josh Johnson, again, if Purdy goes down, Johnson has more value because he's a runner. He knows the offense. He's maybe a preemptive pickup depending on how deep your league is. And even though Purdy, it sounds like he's going to play on Thursday, he could always aggravate those injuries, get more injuries. So Josh Johnson, league winner, still in play. then we get to Desmond Ridder. He's a runner also. Now, it could be a disaster. Saints up this week. Saints love Falcons week. They love baptizing a quarterback. That being said, you never know with a running quarterback. And then we get to the guys we have just because 2 quarterback superflex leagues. Anthony Brown, maybe he's going to start this week on Saturday. We have Saturday games, by the way, folks. 3 games on Saturday. Make sure your lineups are set before you go off the weekend. Baker Mayfield, Brett Rippon, Mitchell Trubisky. These are all quarterbacks. Rippon, Trubisky covering quarterbacks who might not play because of concussion. Mayfield is going to be the quarterback for the rest of the year. Didn't really do much until the end of the game against the Raiders. And then we'll add Colt McCoy because, football can be depressing.
Yeah, football can be depressing. That's for damn sure. But we are here for you. And as far as Ridder goes, Bloom, okay, he has moxie.
Right.
He is a runner, which
Right.
has value in fantasy. Man, pressure bothers him.
Sure.
It bothers him in a bad way. And that's why, Cincinnati did great things, but it's not like he was surrounded by slappies at Cincinnati.
No. And a lot of those
on
Cincinnati
offense
guys.
and defense, by the way.
And look at some of these guys like Alec Pierce, my Jay Sanders. Like some of these Cincinnati guys are showing out already in the NFL.
Yeah.
So absolutely, that Cincinnati Bearcats team is one we should remember. But like you said about Brock Purdy, for now, the league doesn't have film on Ridder or NFL film on Ridder. So we'll see.
Right. We'll see if he can stay steady under the guise of pressure. Anyway, let's move on to running backs? Yeah, we're already running backs. Okay. Running backs it is, everybody. So that means we bring in Dr. Gene Bramall again for our injury report. Monday injury rounds is what you're going to look out for at footballguys.com. And, Saquon Barkley, neck injury. I hate neck injuries because neck injuries, it stopped Eric Dickerson from playing. It stopped Al Wilson from playing, Sterling Sharp from playing. Give me a more recent example, Bloom, because I just talked about guys
Peyton Manning. It's almost it shortened his career and almost ended it prematurely.
Yeah, it almost did. And that scar on his neck is gruesome.
Yeah,
gruesome. I've stood behind him, and that thing's like this freaking long, like just straight down the back of his neck. Anyway, so we'll watch that and then check out the injury rounds. Of course, it is available at footballguys.com. And love you, Dr. Gene. I don't think I put a Dr. Gene picture up, so let's do that. Let's also go to your report, upgrades, downgrades, and waiver wire report available at footballguys.com. And it is, again, we've talked about all these guys, but so much for easing J.K. Dobbins back in. I know Zonovan Knight's a 50+% as well, but we've talked about him. You should have already picked him up, although I think he's still available like 40% of leagues, which is crazy. But like J.K. Dobbins, we're like, ease him back in, and he's a flex play, and Gus Edwards is a flex play. Well, Edwards is a flex play, but J.K. just blew up.
Yeah, you saw the speed on the 44-yard run, then got to cap it with a touchdown. Was still pretty strong on his other runs, and he could get better. And most importantly, for now, Baltimore's committed to the run. Hopefully, even after Lamar Jackson's back, week 16, they stay committed to the run. So Dobbins might be out there. And a few weeks back, we said just a talent like him, it's hard to see him sit there on the waiver wires. And if you heeded that, and I'm not saying that my percentages told you to heed that, so I'm not trying to do a victory lap or anything, but that ended up being the right way to approach Dobbins. Zonovan Knight, if he was dropped in anticipation of Michael Carter coming back, like Robert Saleh said, he's not going anywhere. Well, this week against Detroit in that resurgent run defense, maybe he's not in your lineup, but if he's out there, he should be on someone's roster.
Should be on someone's roster and should be next up in our running backs. Jerick McKinnon, Jet, getting it done, 25 to 50%. Make it happen with him. Let's throw in the rest, Bloom.
Let's just get
everybody. Cam Akers, Gus Edwards, Chuba Hubbard. Like we've talked about these guys. They shouldn't be out there, but if they are, check it out.
Yeah. McKinnon may or may not be out there. And what you want with McKinnon are close games, right? If that big lead had held in the first half, then McKinnon wouldn't have been as good. And Pacheco would have got a lot more work in the second half. Now, against Houston this week, it might be more of a Pacheco game than a McKinnon game, but you see what he can do. He's got that plus 30-point ceiling as a player that is just kind of forgotten about in the passing game by defenses, and you saw some big plays come pretty easily for him. We get to the next tier, and Cam Akers with Baker Mayfield, that offense has some life, so there might be touchdowns there. Gus Edwards, again, they're committed to the run. He could get touchdowns. He at least is going to get 12 to 15 carries against Cleveland. Chuba Hubbard, 14 carries, has as many yards as Dante Foreman had on 21 carries. Hubbard also had the touchdown. Also notice 35 carries between the two. They're playing Pittsburgh this week. Pittsburgh's not going to keep them from doing that. So heck, we could even throw 0.5% for Raheem Blackshear. Seeing him doing well. And let's go ahead and throw Kevin Harris and Pierre Strong. If you can only combine them into one cease, 50+%. Kevin Strong, 50+%. Kevin Harris and Pierre Strong, 10 or 20%. The point being that they're bench players. We don't know about Ramondre Stevens' injury. We don't know when Damian Harris is going to be back. We don't know about the Patriots' offense. We do know they want to be conservative, and they're playing Vegas this week. So both of those guys scored against Arizona, and they're at least good desperation depth to have. See, this is that point again to pause and say, some of these running backs that you're adding is your fifth running back, right? Oh, he's at the end of my bench. You might be using that running back in the fantasy championship. So being thorough, making sure that you have the most attractive options possible. And again, depriving somebody else, because things continue to change pretty quickly. It gets pretty chaotic at the running back position when we get this far in the season.
Imagine getting Khalil Herbert back this week.
Yeah. And I mean,
a lot of guys were taking a chance on either limited film or like, hey, they were good in college and now they might be an opportunity. You can flip and get Khalil Herbert back.
Sure. And he'll share with David Montgomery. Now, my only problem with Khalil Herbert is this week, Chicago gets Philly. Next week, they get Buffalo. Now, week 17, well, they get Detroit, actually.
Yeah, week 16 is when Herbert is expected back, just
right.
For full clarity.
Well, and Detroit's been one of the best run defenses in the league for the last 6 weeks. So I'm just not sure what the lesser now if David Montgomery gets hurt. So there's just a lot of ifs there, but certainly you want to have him on your radar. I guess it's a good moment to say we're not on tight ends. Dallas Goedert, make sure that could be back in the next week or two, although Philly is going to sew up that number 1 seed. Real interesting scenario for Broom, by the way, Cease. I think Philly plays New Orleans in week 17, and they might already have the number 1 seed sewn up. But if they beat the Saints, they can improve their own extra first-round pick. How do you handle that?
Go beat their ass. That's how you handle that.
Easy answer. Next.
Go beat their ass. Available on Sorry Joe Plus. Anyway, it's waiver wire in week 15. Bloom, you've said this multiple times, but it's like, one, a lot of waivers are closed, some are open, whatever, but like we're just doing it to hang out.
Yeah, we're here to hang out. And the report drives some things. I know there's people that probably don't even know what the Audible is, that the report and drives the app, and we're providing services, but mostly we're providing a service to hang out on a Tuesday morning.
On a Tuesday is when we go back to Dr. Gene Bramall as we head to wide receivers. Let's do it. And and wide receivers a little bit more interesting than the running backs. And wide receivers that you're watching for on Monday injury rounds, footballguys.com, include T. Higgins with a hamstring strain day-to-day, questionable week 15. We will be talking about those who might replace T. Higgins in just a little bit. But you want more injury report, then you check out Dr. Gene Bramall's Monday injury rounds. It is available at footballguys.com. Bloom, I promised it. Wide receiver is way more interesting than the running back position, and your upgrades, downgrades, and waiver wire report includes 5 50+ percenters, including Traylon Burks, DJ Chark, Zay Jones, Drake London, Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, and none of them are out there, right? Chances are, if you're a listener to this show, you play in serious enough fantasy football leagues, none of them are out there. But we have to be thorough here. Again, the app, I want to alert anybody that this is a priority pickup. Real quick, Traylon Burks maybe dropped because of his concussion. We'll see if he's back this week. I hope he's back this week. Love watching him play. DJ Chark, even with Jameson Williams out there, not going anywhere in the deep passing game. He's good. Zay Jones caught that incredible concentration touchdown with the pylon cam to show that he got that toe down with about a centimeter to spare. Drake London was on bye. Can it get worse with Desmond Ridder? I guess it can get worse. He did have a pretty good game coming into the bye. I don't think it can get that much worse. Donovan Peoples-Jones, yes, those reports from camp that he was Deshaun Watson's favorite or one of his favorites. You see the chemistry there, and we'll see what can happen for him. But he's maybe even headed toward a 1,000-yard season, one of the quieter 1,000-yard seasons as the Browns offense. We think about Nick Chubb, but actually Donovan Peoples-Jones has been a terrific player stepping up into that number 2 wide receiver role.
And let's move to the next group of wide receivers. There's Chris Moore. There's Elijah Moore. 10 to 20%, Curtis Samuel, and Jamison Williams, 10 to 20%. Let's see a little bit more from the kid, right? As we continue to go on, it's like a little more, a little more, a little more. He is ready to explode, and Williams is capable, Bloom.
Yeah.
I don't want to be alarmist, but Jamison Williams is the type of player, the way it's building, if he hits at the right moment, that's a league championship winning performance. I mean, like 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, like something like that is possible for Jamison Williams. If he's out there, pick him up.
Yeah,
Pick him up.
I mean, see, if he plays in ideal conditions, like, I don't know, the Ford Field indoor stadium against a very poor defense, like, I don't know, the Chicago Bears in week 17. So, yeah, if Jamison Williams is ready, and you're not picking him up to play this week, I think he went from 2 snaps to 6 snaps, but had that easy touchdown, did a victory lap whenever he got the touchdown. And we'll see. DJ Chark is excellent. And I do think, again, that Jay Glazer report that they were going to put him out there as a punt gunner, but then they didn't punt. So we didn't even really know if that was true. But Jay Glazer, I think, if we were going to rank NFL insiders by hit rate or how much you can rely on what they say, is Jay Glazer 100%? I mean, it's 90, high 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he works out with everybody. Like,
yeah.
And
well, he doesn't say much. He doesn't say that much.
And he also doesn't, I'll reveal a truth, Bloom, and I've said it before, so I'll keep it somewhat brief. The networks will push your guys, and they're all good guys, like every single one. And some of the best out there are dear friends, right? Dear friends. James Palmer, shirt off my back type of guy, right? Love that guy. Pelissero, Garofolo, Chris Mortensen, whatever. There is an emphasis from networks sometimes to like, hey, if you hear something, just run with it. Don't double check. Don't triple check. Don't make sure. Just run with it so we can lead SportsCenter or whatever.
Right.
With Jay Glazer, there's none of that.
No, none at all. And that's why I'm saying he doesn't say very much. So when he says something, we put some weight on that. So we'll see. And that's one of the reasons I'm confident about DJ Chark being still a strong pickup. But they could both be strong pickups. And at the very least, again, this is one where you don't want him to fall into enemy hands. Chris Moore, first 100-yard game for a Texans receiver this year. You like seeing what he's doing late in his career. Elijah Moore could start this week, had a solid game in relief of Corey Davis. Corey Davis with a concussion, going up against Detroit this weekend. That Detroit Jets game. Whew, that's going to be fun. Curtis Samuel gets involved as a runner. Went a little cold for fantasy, but in week 12, going into the bye, week 13 going into the bye, had like 86 total yards, 6 receptions. Again, Heineke had a good game. That was against the Giants, this week's opponent. So Curtis Samuel might have been dropped going into the bye. And then we have a whole bunch of guys to throw some darts. And again, I didn't win because Matt Schauf stomped me, but I had to pick up a receiver off of the waiver wire, and I picked up Chris Moore last week. I was very proud of myself, even though it meant I lost by like 60 instead of 80.
Yeah, hey, well, that's all good, right? Every little bit helps. But 1%ers, some darts, and this is the fun part because it's Tutu Atwell. 1%, yeah. Paris Campbell, 1%. Yes, Jahan Dotson should be 2%. Yeah. But either way, like I freaking love that kid. Marquise Goodwin, right? That's worked a couple times. Trenton Irwin, there we talked about with the Higgins thing. Irwin got all those snaps in the slot there. Alec Pierce, we talked about him earlier. Ben Skwarnick, even 0.5% just for Cole Beasley, Bloom, because he's back with the Bills this morning.
Yeah, Isaiah McKenzie coming soon to a shut him down segment. So there's a lot of darts to throw here. And we have the Rams receivers, Atwell with that speed, Skowronek with the contested catch, and he's the favorite target for Mayfield. You got Paris Campbell and Alec Pierce, and it's Minnesota. It's Matt Ryan coming off a bye against Minnesota. Minnesota's pass defense has been very generous, making a lot of good fantasy weeks for us. Jahan Dotson, and maybe he should be up there with Curtis Samuel. He doesn't get the extra running ability punch that as a rusher in the running game that Samuel gets, but he is on the field more, and he has maybe more downfield red zone targets. So I agree with you, Cease. Maybe he should have been up higher. Marquise Goodwin, most valuable Seattle receiver last week. This is probably going to remain a pass-heavy offense against San Francisco, although we'll see if Kenneth Walker can play. Trenton Irwin, looking like he's going to be the number 2 receiver this week. Watch the reports on T. Higgins. They set up the flea flicker for him, playing Tampa Bay this week. So a lot of options, a lot of players coming on. And one of the things that we're going to be watching again is how are these teams playing? You know, with the Rams, it's a little easier to like Atwell or Skowronek as a desperation play because there's new life, right? Everyone has pep in their step. It's exciting. They're playing for something. And it's one of those things where See, if we say a team takes on their quarterback's personality and we say they take on Baker Mayfield's personality, that would have been a bad thing until a week ago.
Right.
Now maybe it's a good thing. Hey, let's scrap. Let's not give up. Let's see what we can do. We're still football players. We still love playing football. And hey, maybe they can eliminate Aaron Rodgers this week. We'll see.
Sometimes in life, you just got to grab your crotch and keep going. And that's what Baker Mayfield does. Bloom, super, super quick, because I don't think it's fantasy relevant, but I do have to pick your brain.
Sure.
Brother, T.Y. Hilton is back.
Yeah, he's back.
With the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I'm like, just when Noah Brown's playing good, James Washington just came back. So, like, Hilton's like fifth.
Yeah.
But he could be third. Like, are they just going to replace Washington and Noah Brown and make Hilton their number 3? If that's the case, I mean, there is some fantasy relevance there, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
this is one of
we're
those
talking
Jerry
about
things.
darts. Yeah, let's throw a dart with T.Y. Hilton.
Well, this is a Jerry thing, right? It seems like for whatever reason, the Cowboys have been obsessed with adding a veteran receiver. They were in on Brandon Cooks at the deadline, if I recall correctly. And then Odell Beckham, and now Odell Beckham's not even really going to be able to play this year. So T.Y. Hilton, why not? I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's because they don't have a true elder statesman in that group. There's I think the most experienced receiver in that group is James Washington. So maybe that's why. I don't know. But hey, I would love to see it at the very least. Now, if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, while there be that thought like, oh, Jerry, like, hey, good for you, T.Y. Hilton, and many other players.
Yes. Well, and Bloom, here's the other thing. As I said, we'd keep it brief, and here we go on T.Y. Hilton. But like, if you love T.Y., because as Will's saying in the chat room, like, it's a great dude, right?
Oh, he is a great dude. He went to Florida International to be close to his sick mom, I think. That's why he was a Florida International player.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
So here's what you do. You're in your fantasy championship, pick up T.Y. Hilton, don't start him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Help get a ring in fantasy. Forget the Cowboys. We don't want the Cowboys to get a ring. Their fans are already obnoxious enough. Let's talk obnoxious when we talk about tight ends. Not much at tight ends, honestly.
No.
Like, not much at all here. What is it? Hayden Hurst, right? Is that what we got to watch? We got the calf injury. Watch out for Hayden Hurst. Even Dr. Gene's like, yeah, that's not a lot. But you can check out the Monday injury rounds from Dr. Gene Bramall. It is available at footballguys.com. Upgrades, downgrades, and waiver wire report available for tight ends. 50+% on Evan Ingram. Now, what's funny, Bloom, is looking at ownage percentage.
Yeah.
You're about to get pound. Looking at ownage percentage, like, is he available in like only 30% of leagues? Like, he's pretty owned. He's pretty rostered.
I think it was like 60 or 61%.
Yeah,
but hey, let's just.
And it just surprised me. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Evan Ingram.
Yeah, well, and now he went cold for a few weeks, I think, after the rib injury, came back, had an okay game going into the bye, and obviously a career game coming out of the bye. Again, we're going to watch Tennessee this week at Gerald Everett. Maybe that's the real takeaway from his game is play tight ends against Tennessee, but you like seeing what Evan Ingram's doing, and he fits so well. And again, I'll say this, the Jags lack a true number one receiver. I forget who was saying, imagining the Jags offense with George Pickens, like what they have plus George Pickens, like a player that can win one-on-one on the outside. That's what they're missing. But they did get the right players for the offense they're running. Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram. And we saw that come to fruition with Ingram going against Dallas this week.
Going against Dallas this week, and other tight ends that you can pick up for your fantasy teams include Taysom Hill, 10 to 20%. Darren Waller should be back, hopefully back, 10 to 20%. Let's get those two out of the way, and then just house cleaning after that.
Taysom Hill, it's Atlanta week. Taysom Hill had 4 for 81 and a rushing touchdown against them this year, and then he had the games that made him look like a real NFL quarterback against them in previous years. So it's Atlanta, it's in the Superdome. Taysom Hill is a good bet this week. Darren Waller, it could be a zonk, right? It really could be a sabotage pickup, right? Leave someone else to pick up Darren Waller if he's playing against New England this week. Let them play him, or week 16 whenever he comes back. It's Las Vegas. The offense outside of Josh Jacobs just collapsed. To get Pittsburgh in week 16. But Darren Waller, at this point, sees when he went on IR, we're like, good riddance. I didn't need him anyway. Now looking at tight end in the landscape, Darren, hey, welcome back. We might need you.
Welcome in. It's nice and warm. And this special edition, Bloom, because anytime someone brings up Chiggy Okonkwo, I just go,
get Chiggy with it. Yeah.
Beautiful, right? The Keanu kiss. We brought it back. Bloom, the Keanu kiss.
Oh yeah.
I saw this gif on my computer. I was like, wait a second. That was the Keanu kiss. We haven't done a Keanu kiss all season. So there you go. Chigio Okonkwo. That's for you, buddy. And for anyone that picks him up as a 1%er, plus whoever else you got, Bloom.
Yeah, and 1%ers, you might be needing those 1%ers. The tight end, the churn continues. You got both of the tight ends from Tennessee, basically, Austin Hooper and Chigio Okonkwo. Okonkwo was not even in on 50% of the snaps, so you see when he's on the field, they're using him. If Traylon Burks is back, it takes a little bit off the edge of both of them. And you hope, I don't know what happened to Miami's running game, but you would think that Derrick Henry, you got 35 carries in you. Well, hopefully not the 35 carries that seem to break Saquon Barkley, but you would hope that this week that they would just run, but the Chargers going against that Tennessee pass defense could take them out of that comfort zone, which could help those Tennessee tight ends hit for you.
Make it hit for you. That's what we are here for. It is the Audible. It's waiver wire. It's week 15. It's fantasy playoffs. Hope you made it. Hope you play in enough leagues that you made it. So there we go. But now it is time. We get a lot of people that have meetings and stuff. Like, was it Andy? I think Andy earlier is like, oh man, I got a meeting.
Right. I know D. Smitty said his meeting got moved or something like that so that he could be here.
Okay.
Or she.
Yeah. Don't you hate when like, hey, it's meeting and then it's moved? I
call it productivity theater. Back in the day when I had a job that had lots of meetings, it's time for some productivity theater. There was a one woman I worked with, a wonderful woman. She would sit there with her. She was a professional Scrabble player. Like she played in world tournaments.
What?
Yeah, professional Scrabble.
Wait, that's a thing?
That's totally a thing. I mean, if it was a thing, if it was a thing like 15, 20 years ago, by now it's probably a profession. Look at us. Anyway, she would sit there with her 2- and 3-letter Scrabble words because the real pros at Scrabble will put like a word next to another word. So there's like 4 words that are 2 letters across plus the word that they had, you know? So she would just sit there and study her 2- and 3-letter word lists. And I thought that was a pretty good use of meeting time.
That is a pretty good use of meeting time. So there you go. Everyone loves your productivity theater. So I know you might be in a meeting. I don't know. Maybe you're driving. We never know where you're at. You know where we're at. We're here for you right here on the Audible. That's right, everybody. So whatever you're doing, maybe you are waiting for the train. Maybe you are in a meeting. Maybe you're walking to take a break to the break room in your office. Maybe you're on a construction site, on a skyscraper sitting above the city. Well, you know what to do. Don't scare anybody if you're on a skyscraper. Please. So, hey, guys, I'm going to yell here just a little bit, right? I'm going to do this thing. I got to do this thing because they asked me to do the thing, and we do the thing. This is the audience participation point of the show. So if you made the playoffs, you can scream it. If you didn't make the playoffs, you can scream it. And we did have a whisper one time, but that was one-off. We know what to do. You know what to do. As you say it with me and shout it to the heavens above, cue the Chuck D! Boom! Week 15, shut him down.
Yeah. Was that a careless whisper, Cease? Guilty feet? Got no rhythm?
Got no rhythm. That's right.
Never gonna dance again the way I dance with you. Never gonna dance the way I danced with Tyler Huntley. No, that's it. Yeah. Derek Carr. I'm not gonna give Derek Carr a chance to mess up my lineup again. Kenny Pickett, if you hadn't already dropped him in one quarterback. Tom Brady. Cincinnati's a very tough pass team. I'd rather have Daniel Jones than Tom Brady. If Tom Brady's my second quarterback, I have to drop him to get one of these other pickups. I'm not attached to Tom Brady. And Russell Wilson gets Kansas City again. Probably dropping him for a Taylor Heineke, Brock Purdy type. Because I think, I don't know if that lightning's going to strike again. Jeff Wilson, banged up with a hip injury. Michael Carter, he's just an injury upside backup and not one with the upside of, say, Jordan Mason. James Cook. Well, look, I mean, I don't understand. You see this, you got the fresh rookie legs. It's what takes some pressure off of drive. Well, he was out there for 40-some% of the snaps again. So he was out there. And it was a game where not much was working on offense. They could figure it out. I mean, you're guessing. You're just rolling the dice with James Cook. So yeah, I would rather have Zonovan Knight than James Cook. I'd rather have J.K. Dobbins than James Cook, and so on. Like if you're looking at a tough spot and James Cook's the guy you have to drop. Raheem Mostert also. Even with Jeff Wilson hurt, I don't know if I want to trust the Miami run defense at this point. Even the Miami offense, the way things are going, outside of Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, that's one of our Viking funeral drops. He should be back for the regular season. I'm not holding him though. By the time he comes back, they might have the division sewn up. We'll see about the number 2 versus 3 seed, but I think if they're smart, they're really saving him for the playoffs. You get some of the rust knocked off. You make sure he's reconditioned well during the regular season. Tyler Boyd, the finger injury, not waiting around for that. DJ Moore with an ankle injury, dropping him if I need to for just about anybody. Michael Gallup, Noah Brown, and now T.Y. Hilton. So galloping away, Michael Gallup's fantasy value. And yeah, I mean, you have to make some tough choices, but sometimes and again, if you're the kind of fantasy football player that has someone at the end of your bench, so that if you win the championship, they can get a ring, then you're our kind of fantasy player. And that is a great reason to hold on. Did I lose you? Oh,
It's only the internet. It's only me. It was me that time. I was just about ready to make fun of New Orleans internet. It was me.
Oh,
it was me.
That's okay.
I quoted 2 Jim Carrey movies today.
Well, I thought you were going to say like, there's a talking heads. It's only the river. It's only the internet. It's only the internet.
Well, let's get to hold on in week 15.
Not many. I mean, this is a tough time of year. We're leaving. It's that last part of the war. Mike Leach, rest in peace. And sometimes we don't ever want to leave a fallen soldier behind. So who are we going to hold on to? Damian Pierce. Hopefully that ankle injury is minor. We can get him back. You might not want to play him against Kansas City this week anyway. Let him rest. Don't drop him. T. Higgins. Hamstring, may not really get to use him again, but he's that good. And we saw him put up a week-winning game late last year. And yeah, it's sad. It's sad because there are those that helped us get there who might not be on the roster when we win. There are a few maybe we may keep around. And most importantly, it's again, our numbers right now, people in the chat room, is about as high as it's been all year for the Waiver Wire show, which is just I just continue to be humbled. I don't know if that's the right word. I'm so glad that even though we do literally hundreds of shows a year, that it's not just us and our talent or whatever. It's y'all are powering this, that y'all care and that you have the energy you have and you bring, also looking out for each other in the chat room and the family and the community we have. It's just, I'm just glad that it hasn't dropped off and that it continues to draw everybody in and they like hanging out with us. It's just so validating, and Lord knows I need all the validation I can get.
Well, Lord knows we need more Vic Fangio every day. Why is scoring down in the NFL? Because everyone's using Fangio's defense every day. I got revenge on you, Denver. Maybe Vic Fangio took out the internet. No, he doesn't know what the internet is. So. Oh, the tables have turned. All right. Yeah, man. Yeah. Love it. Love you guys. Appreciate you all as we get through this fantasy football season. It's playoff time. So check out footballguys.com and please do all those YouTube things. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. I know it's annoying, but it really helps out the channel. So thank you very much. He is Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. You follow me at Cecil Lammey. The show is at the Audible. Thanks, everyone. Until next time, be safe, be kind, know that you are appreciated. Stay tuned. And as always, stay frosty.